This is William Cooper, an extremely interesting and thought-provoking writer. And this is Bill Cooper's book entitled Behold a Pale Horse. In it, he adds a piece to the puzzle of this story. It's really interesting. He says that a spacecraft called Galileo will play an extremely interesting role in the near future. This spacecraft was launched in 1985 by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and will reach the planet Jupiter by the year 1995. It is supposed to orbit the planet and then take measurements for some 3 or 4 years. Here is a current newspaper article that reports that NASA is having problems with one of Galileo's antennas. Mr. Cooper reports that in the early 1970s, he read an official government report that stated that the spacecraft will be dropped into the atmosphere of the planet in the year 1999. It is known that the spacecraft carried some 49 pounds of plutonium on board to power the craft's radios. The planet Jupiter has a very heavy atmosphere, with something like 18 million times the atmospheric pressure that the Earth has. If plutonium is subjected to high pressure, it will implode, causing an atomic explosion. And if that happens on the planet Jupiter, it'll cause the atmosphere of the planet Jupiter, which has the proper mixture of oxygen and hydrogen, to burn. I have seen somewhere that the planet Jupiter has been called a failed star. That means that it has the capability of being set on fire, and so that it will burn just like the sun. It has an atmosphere of the proper amounts of hydrogen and oxygen so that it will burn if a spark is added to the mixture. And it will be getting that spark when the spacecraft Galileo will be dropped into the intense pressure of the planet's atmosphere. So the purpose of the space probe Galileo is to cause the planet Jupiter to burn like the sun. A friend of mine is an amateur astronomer, and he told me that his computer program that reports where the stars are at any one particular time indicated that Jupiter will still be visible at midnight at the Great Pyramid of Giza near Cairo, Egypt, on January the 1st, the year 2000 AD, and that it will set low in the horizon sometime after 1 a.m. That means that anyone at the Pyramid of Giza, presuming that they have a clear night, will be able to see the planet Jupiter light up in the low horizon and will be able to watch it for about 1 hour before it sets. If you think that this is impossible, may I bring your attention to a book written by Arthur C. Clarke, perhaps this nation's best science fiction writer, entitled 2010. This is the opening scene of the movie, the title of the movie, showing the title. At the end of the movie, the planet Jupiter lights up. This is nearly the final scene of the movie when the planet lights up and the spacecraft shown off to the right of the picture, or in this case at the bottom of the picture, rushes to get away from the explosion. Mr. Clarke has written 3 books on the subject, 2001, 2010, and the final book in the trilogy, 2061. And here is that 3rd book, 2061, Odyssey 3. On page 13, notice he uses the page 13. Mr. Clarke renames Jupiter the burning planet. He now calls that planet Lucifer. There's page 13, Jupiter, the fiery birth of Lucifer, the brilliant new star. My guess is that the archaeologists will claim that after Jupiter lights up, this is the star that was to show itself again after 6,000 years. They do not want us to know that it was caused by the spacecraft Galileo so that they can claim that it was predicted nearly 6,000 years ago. But those hearing my lecture will know that the planet was set ablaze by the American government's own space agency. At the end of Mr. Clarke's movie entitled 2010, he shows still pictures of the 2 suns, one being the actual sun and the other the burning planet Jupiter in the sky. This picture shows the 2 suns burning in what appears to be Moscow. And here they are shown again near the Great Pyramid of Giza near Cairo, the 2 suns in the sky. So the burning of the planet Jupiter will act as a symbolic sign in the heavens to the world that there are now 2 gods in the universe, the Creator God and Lucifer. Because Lucifer is coming to the universe in the year 2000. And to show you that this is so, we must return once again to the writings of Albert Pike in his book entitled Morals and Dogma. This is what he wrote on page 844. He shall be like the Elohim, meaning the God of the Bible, knowing good and evil. Had the serpent of Genesis said, and the tree of knowledge became the tree of death. For 6,000 years, the martyrs of knowledge toil and die at the foot of this tree, that it may again become the tree of life. It might be remembered that the Bible said that the devil tempted Eve with this lie in the Garden of Eden, and ye shall be as gods. Satan offered man a lie, and the Masons are saying that through their initiation, they too can become gods. So the Masons believe that they too can become gods, knowing good and evil. He said this on page 567 of the same book. To prevent the light from escaping at once, the demons forbade Adam to eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, by which he would have known the empires of light and that of darkness. He obeyed, and the angel of light induced him to transgress. So Mr. Pike is saying that the triune God of the Bible are demon gods, and that Lucifer is the God of light. He has it just backwards from the teaching in the Bible. Now going back to Arthur C. Clarke, it has been reported that he has the ear of NASA, so the lighting up of the planet Jupiter is probably not their idea but his. It is quite likely that Mr. Clarke is the one who suggested that NASA send the probe to Jupiter. Now let me tie this all together with the 6,000-year pyramid inches in the Great Pyramid. This is another version of the cutaway drawing of the pyramid again. Let me point out the large room in the center of the pyramid is called the Grand Gallery. Notice that it is pointed up towards the sky. It's that large box there, a rectangular shape, just before you get to the King's Chamber in the center of the picture. And that someone should see, or could see rather, a particular section of the sky before the top layers of the pyramid were placed on top of it. Mr. Noon, the author of the book about the Great Pyramid, continued. The Grand Gallery points to the supernova, or giant stellar explosion, nearest to our solar system. The Great Pyramid's Grand Gallery is focused at this particular spot in the Earth's southern sky. So it appears that the pyramid conceals two important and concealed messages. Number one, that a great star will reappear somehow in a particular spot in the sky. And two, that occurrence will happen 6,000 years after a star exploded the first time. Let me show you the importance of the 6,000 pyramid inches in the Great Pyramid. When we write the date of February 28, 1994, for instance, we should write the letters AD after the year. The two letters AD stand for the abbreviation of Anno Domini, meaning the year of our Lord, or the number of years since the birth of Jesus in the year 0. It is an interesting fact that Jesus was not born in the year 0, or the year 1 even, and the Bible student can find out exactly when he was born. So the person who determined that the year 0 separated the birth of Jesus from the ancient calendar called BC, or before Christ, was dramatically wrong. That person put us onto another calendar, and certain people on this earth know that. The Masons do not reckon time by the AD calendar. The Masons start their calendar at the year 4000 BC. Albert Mackey, the 33rd degree Mason and author of the greatest of all of the Masonic encyclopedias, told us about the Masonic calendar in his Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. Here's what he wrote. A period L period, the year of light. The date found by adding 4,000 to the vulgar. I look up the word vulgar, it means the common or modern era. Thus, he wrote in his example cited in the encyclopedia, 1911, the year 1911 AD plus 4,000 years equals 5911. Therefore, the year 1994 AD is the year 5,994 in the year AL. The A of AL stands for Anno, the L stands for Lucis. Anno Lucis. This means that the Masonic calendar ends in just about 5.5 years, 6 years. In other words, the Masonic calendar ends in the year 6000 AL. To show you that the Masons know that the AL calendar is their measuring method, let me show you this Distinguished Achievement Medal awarded to C. Fred Kleineck, the current sovereign Grand Commander of all of Freemasonry, on May Day 5990 A period L period. You probably cannot read it, but under the date it says the Anno Lucis, and the date was given as 5990 AL, May Day, 1990. Let me show you the difference between the two calendar systems. The top shows the AD calendar, and this calendar starts at 4000 BC, and then at the year 0, it changes to the years known as AD. The Masonic calendar is shown on the bottom. Their calendar starts at the year 0 and then goes to the year 6000 AL, or the year 2000 AD. The year 1993 AD supposedly means 1993 years since the birth of Jesus. The year 5993 AL means 5,993 years since the arrival of Lucifer on the earth after being expelled from heaven. That's what the Masons mean by the term AL, Anno Lucis. So the Masons think this is the year 5993, or now 5994 AL, and they are looking for the year 6000. Something is going to happen on that year, and then there will be a coming 1,000-year period. Nowhere in any Masonic writing can I find any date past the year 7000 AL, so that means that they anticipate the world coming to an end at that time. So if you want to talk about the end of the world, the Masons claim it is going to end in the year 7000 AL, or 1,000 years after the year 6000 AL. The Masons do not tell us what happens after the year 7000 AL because it appears as if they do not know. But they know what will happen after the year 6000 AL. One of the writers of the Theosophist magazine in 1881 summed it up this way: the history of creation and of this world from its beginning up to the present time is composed of 7 chapters. The 7th chapter is not yet written. That means to me that the writer knew that the 7,000-year calendar of the Masonic Lodge was the real one. She was saying that the first 6,000 years, the first 6 chapters, have been written by the Luciferians, but the last chapter, starting on the 1st of January, 6000 AL, will be written by Lucifer himself and has not as yet been written. Perhaps the New Agers have said it the best. This is a book entitled The Aquarian Conspiracy, written by Marilyn Ferguson. Marilyn is one of the major New Age writers, and this is an important book on the subject. In it, she claims we are entering a millennium of love and light. A millennium is, of course, 1,000 years long, so I believe she is talking about what will happen at the end of the 6,000 years. There will be a period of 1,000 years that will follow, and she calls this period the New Age. Also remember that the light she refers to comes from Lucifer, the light bearer. So she is saying there will be a 1,000-year period of light coming from the light bearer Lucifer starting in the year 6000 AL. Someone else told us about the 1,000-year period, a publishing company called the Lucis Trust. The Lucis Trust was created in 1923, and it consisted of a trust and a publishing company. The trust has always, as I understand it, has always been called the Lucis Trust, but the publishing company used to be called the Lucifer Publishing Company. That name was changed sometime after it was originally created. The word Lucis is, of course, Latin for light. Excuse me. They publish a quarterly newsletter, and in the 3rd quarter 1982 newsletter, they wrote this: the year 2000, meaning the year 2000 AD, looms before humanity as a gigantic milestone which marks both an ending and a beginning. Excuse me. It marks the end of a volatile millennium, which has seen enormous progress and change. But more importantly, the year 2000 stands as a symbolic portal through which humanity can pass into a new age if it so chooses. What they were saying was that the New Age, also called the New World Order, will be in place by the year 2000, or in the year 2000. Notice that mankind does not have to pass through this portal. The author says that we have a choice.